In the season finale of season 2, the LaRussos wake up and their daughter is nowhere to be found, and they kind of go into panic mode because she's not answering her phone and neither is Robbie. Although lucky for the both of them, Aisha has messaged Sam to find out if she got home okay that night because she was drinking a lot, and the two see it because her computer is connected to her phone. They also utilize the Find My iPhone app and find out her exact location. And that location, unbeknownst to them, obviously, is Johnny Lawrence's place. So they head over there. But while they're on their way, Robbie has woken up and he thanks his dad for letting him crash there that night. Johnny tells Robbie, look, man, that's fine, but I'm going to have to tell LaRusso about this. I mean, it's his kid. And Robbie tells him don't, because if he sees her like this, it'll crush him. Let me take the fall. I'll tell them that I got really drunk and I told Sam to bring me here. And she stayed because she wanted to make sure I was okay. And that's all well and good, but when Daniel arrives and finds that the location is Johnny Lawrence's place, all the goodwill that happened the night before on their double date goes out the window. It doesn't help with the fact that when Daniel confronts him saying, is my daughter here? Johnny's first instinct is to tell him to calm down. Daniel ends up forcing his way into Johnny's apartment, and the two start squaring off like the old days, getting into a full-on fight. This ends up waking up Sam, who is sleeping in the next room, and that's when the fight stops because Daniel turns his attention to his daughter, asking if she's okay, and when Sam says yeah, he then wants to know, well, then why didn't you call or text or let us know where you're at? Robbie tries to come to Sam's defense, but when he does that, Daniel turns on Robbie, saying, I tried to give you a second chance, but you screwed this up. If you want to end up like him, meaning Johnny, go ahead. He then instructs Sam to get in the car, but right before he leaves, he mean mugs Johnny Lawrence like nobody's business. Both kids, though, need to put this behind them because they've got school the next day. And Robbie is enrolled at Sam and Miguel's school. Daniel drops Sam off, and Johnny does the same with Robbie, actually giving him a book bag with a bunch of stuff in it because he didn't really know what Robbie needed, but Robbie definitely appreciates it. But Johnny can tell that something is bothering Robbie, and Robbie reveals that he doesn't like the way he left things with the LaRussos. And he knows that Johnny doesn't want to hear it, but Daniel was really good to him. And it was Miyagi-Do karate that helped Robbie out a lot. In the middle of their conversation, though, Miguel ends up calling Johnny, and Johnny sends it straight to voicemail because he wants to hear Robbie out. And Robbie's whole message to his dad is that you and Daniel could probably learn something from each other. You're not that different. Robbie then hops out of the car and ends up linking up with Sam at her locker, joking around with her that he needs help finding a couple of classrooms, but Sam is still bothered about what happened the night before, feeling like an idiot. She apologizes to Robbie, but Robbie says, there's no need to apologize, this is my fault too. He does then reveal to her, though, that Miguel gave him the Medal of Honor. That had kind of been weighing on him a little bit. And the whole reason he did that was because he didn't want Miguel to earn any points with Sam. Their relationship was fresh, and he just felt insecure. And Sam is about to tell Robbie that her and Miguel kiss, but then the bell rings. All the kids go to homeroom, including Miguel, who sits next to Eli. And Miguel has had an issue because he hasn't heard from Tori since the night of the party. And he's starting to get really concerned because Aisha tells him that she also hasn't heard from Tori. Tori's just MIA. He ended up confiding in Eli that he kissed Sam, and Eli thinks it's awesome, but Miguel feels really bad about it, feeling like he just shouldn't have done that to Tori. But the conversation is broken up when this kid walks up to Eli and tells him that there's nothing to be ashamed of about wetting the bed till you're about 15, just because, kids haven't forgotten that little story that Dimitri told at the party. And this is all happening during the morning announcements that no one's really listening to, but everybody's ears perk up when Tori hops on, announcing to the whole school that Samantha LaRusso knows what she did, and now she's going to pay for it. So when classes adjourn, the whole school surrounds Sam and Tori, and it leaves Miguel and Robbie rushing to break things up. But there's no breaking up this fight. And when Miguel sees Robbie put his hands on Tori, Miguel comes to her aid, thinking that Robbie's trying to get in the way, and it's really just a big misunderstanding. But now you've got Sam and Tori, and on the other side, you've got Miguel and Robbie. And Eli, who's become such a meathead, is ready to throw down with anybody. So you got both dojos going at it. I mean, just former friends beating up on each other. Total chaos in the hallways of the school. And the fight is moving to the main entrance of the school, to staircases, and teachers aren't breaking it up because they're not paid enough to do that. And because it's full-on chaos, Eli thinks that this is the perfect time to get revenge on Dimitri for telling that story at the party, and he goes after Dimitri, hunting him down. But when he finally catches up to Dimitri, Dimitri uses Miyagi-Do to kick the crap out of Eli. That, however, is on a totally different area of the school. They were by themselves, really. Because on the main staircase, Robbie and Miguel continue to fight, but each one is trying to get to their girlfriends, trying to break it up. Although anytime they get close, the other one grabs them and the two end up continuing to fight. And the fight between Tori and Sam is just continuing. Sam is winning, yelling at Tori, is that the only way you know how to fight is dirty? And Tori looks at her, harnessing her inner Cobra Kai, telling her this isn't a tournament. there are no rules. And she puts this spiked bracelet around her fists and starts going after Sam, trying to legitimately hurt her. And she is able to. But Sam ends up using Miyagi-Do and winning that fight. However, most of the school is still focused on Robbie and Miguel. And Miguel has Robbie dead to rights. But he remembers what Johnny said about Mercy, and even apologizing to Robbie, dropping his arm and saying, "I'm sorry." But Robbie does not accept that apology. Rage just envelops him, and he ends up getting up and kicking Miguel over the balcony. And Miguel ends up falling probably 3 flights and injuring his back. I mean, he is knocked out. And it is a serious injury that has the entire school stopped dead in their tracks. And right away, Robbie knows that he went too far. He knows he screwed up. I mean, Sam can't believe what he did. Tori has gone to Miguel's aid. And all of the parents are alerted. Johnny finds out and hears Carmen scream from getting the news. And he heads to the hospital with Carmen and her mom, and the doctor tells Carmen, "You've seen your fair share of these. You know the next 24 hours is critical." Johnny is really concerned and asks, is he going to pull through? And the doctor doesn't really reassure him, just saying, "We're doing everything we can." And Carmen is inconsolable, understandably so. Johnny apologizes to her, but she says, "Sorry. Before Miguel met you, he was a sweet boy. He avoided fights. Now look what you did. I never want to see you again." Johnny's just left to kill time walking the halls, and he ends up seeing Sam getting stitched up in another room as Daniel and Amanda try to calm her down because Sam feels like it's all her fault. Johnny then checks his phone, though, and sees that he has a voicemail from Miguel. It's from the phone call that he sent straight to voicemail when he was talking to Robbie in the car. And it's Miguel telling him that he's having girl issues, and Johnny's always been better at that sort of thing than Miguel, so he really needs to talk to him. The moment ends up bringing Johnny to tears because he doesn't know if that's going to be the last time he hears Miguel's voice. So Johnny ends up leaving the hospital, and when he gets in the elevator, right before the doors close, Daniel gets in the elevator. But this time, neither guy says a word. Neither guy is in the mood to fight. Johnny heads straight for the dojo, but when he gets there, to his surprise, it's unlocked. And he starts hearing these sounds coming from the back. And that's because all the way in the back of the dojo, Kreese is running Miyagi-Do. Hawk is there along with a bunch of his cronies, and Johnny demands to know what Kreese is doing there, but Kreese says, "I'm teaching my students. You let them down when they needed you the most, and somebody needed to remind them what it takes to win." Johnny tries to step towards Kreese, but all of the kids in Cobra Kai get in his way. They're putting all of the blame on what happened to Miguel on the fact that Johnny was teaching Mercy. Johnny can't believe it and tells Kreese to get out, but Kreese tells him, "No, this is my dojo." Oh, yeah, I totally forgot to tell you. When you were out of town, I had a talk with the landlord, and it turns out he doesn't really like you either. And then there's a funny thing about handshake deals. They can be broken. I mean, after all, I founded Cobra Kai. It belongs to me. It always has, and it always will. I'll never let my students lose, even if it means that they have to find out the hard way. Johnny is fighting back tears after everything that happened that day, but also just finding out that the dojo was stolen from him. And he tells Kreese, "If you wanted Cobra Kai back so badly, you know what? It's yours." And then he leaves. He goes to the beach and is thinking about everything he went through with Miguel and ends up chucking his cell phone. But when he does, his cell phone pings because he got a friend request from Allie. And that is how Season 2 of Cobra Kai ends. Thank you so much for watching this recap and getting to this point. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Like this video if you liked it. Hit thumbs down if you thought it sucked. But if you know somebody that does need a recap of Cobra Kai, either Season 1 or 2, please consider sharing this on your social media platforms. And please, be nice in the comments section. I said this with the first one. I don't know karate. So when you're mean to me, I can't challenge you to a fight and then back up my words. I'm like Eli before he got the mohawk. It just makes me feel bad. So if you're going to write a negative comment, just write it somewhere else. But just know, I do really appreciate you guys watching this.